Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you how to EQ bass guitar to sit perfectly in the mix. We're going to be looking at mixing rock bass guitar today, specifically EQing rock bass guitar. But before we dive in, if you are ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process step by step to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more of the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and look at EQing rock bass guitar. So let me play you the mix as it sounds. You can hear how the bass guitar sits inside the mix, and then I will solo up the bass guitar and you can hear our bass tone isolated by itself. And then we're going to jump into the EQ tactics that we applied to get this bass tone. So let me flip over to my mic here so I can mute it when I hit play on the music here. Here is the bass guitar inside the mix, and like I said, I will solo it up for you as well.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't find it anymore. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay, but the longer I wait, the more I'll say.
So you can hear we have big, even, powerful low end, but we also have some nice mid-range bite and some nice top end. You can hear some of the string noise. All of that helps the bass cut through the mix while also being a strong foundation in the low end for everything to sit on top of. Let's jump in here and look at the EQ moves we made on this bass guitar to get it to sit inside the mix. The first thing we'll talk about, of course, is if you've watched any of my videos on mixing bass before, you know I like to separate the frequencies on my bass guitar. So we have our bass DI, it's just our low end here, excuse me. It is everything below 180 hertz. So we're using a 24 dB per octave low pass filter to isolate just the low end here on our bass DI. And I have a little bit of a high pass filter there too, excuse me. And then on our bass amp track here, we are using just the top end. So you can see I have everything below 180 hertz rolled off. And then I've got a gentler slope up here rolling everything but above 5K off, just so things don't get too crazy up on the top end there, especially if you have like a condenser mic on the bass amplifier. Sometimes you get some noise up on the top end there. So that's our little bit of prep work there on our bass guitar before both of these hit our bass bus here. Let me play what the bass guitar sounds like just by itself here. None of the processing on the bus, so none of the EQ, and then of course there's a compressor as well. So here's basically the raw bass guitar, except for the EQs we have going on the channels there. You can hear it's pretty inconsistent. It's a nice bass tone, but it's a little uneven. We lose some of the low end at some points, and some of that top end rolls off at some points when he starts playing a little bit softer. We want to take care of that here with our EQ. So pulling up our first EQ here, we have a couple different moves that we're doing to take care of things. First thing we're doing here is I'm rolling off the low end, and I'm rolling off a little bit more than I need to help control the low end. So we want to control the low end before we boost the low end. Otherwise, you're boosting inconsistent low end. We want to boost nice, even, balanced low end here. So let me take off these cuts and these two boosts we have going here. Listen to just our high pass filter. So we'll start without it, and then I'm going to kick it in. You're probably going to think we've cut too much low end, but again, we're controlling our low end before we boost it. We're going to get some of this back. Don't worry too much here. So we'll start without it, and then I'll kick it in here. So we're controlling that low end area. That way when we boost, we don't have any big explosions when he hits some notes, and then it disappears when he hits other notes. Right now with this roll-off in, things get a little bit more balanced across the low end there on all the different notes that he's hitting. Second thing we're doing here is it's a little bit nosy sounding. Sometimes you can get that from the low end on a DI. You'll get some of that nosiness there. It'll be like a buildup here at around 180. So we're going to dip this out a little bit. We'll start without it, then I'll kick it in, and I'll boost up this area so you can hear what I'm talking about frequency-wise. Right there around the 180 or 200 hertz mark, that's kind of the headache frequency for me. That's that stuff that builds up on bass guitar, and it can fight with the low end on big electric guitars, which we have in this song. So we're dipping a little bit of that out. We're at, our Q's a little bit more narrow here, so 2.5 Q, we're pulling out about 5.5 dB at 180 hertz. That's going to get rid of some of that buildup there around 180, 200, and dip out some of that headache frequency, which can build up. That can get pretty nasty pretty quick there. Now, I'm going to put my compressor in place here. When I'm mixing bass guitar, this is where I would put my compressor in. I would get my cuts in, so control my low end, pull out any nosiness or any muddiness that I need to on the bass guitar. Then I throw my compressor in. This is going to hold the two boosts we're going to do in place here, okay? So once I get my compressor in, then we're going to add some top end here to our bass guitar. First move I like to do is right here in the mid-range. We're going to pull up 4.32 dB at 700 hertz. This is going to give us that mid-range bite. So listen to how this boost sounds as I kick it in here. It gives us some of that kind of mid-range snarl, which is going to help our bass guitar sit really, really nicely with our electric guitars. You can see how we're kind of doing things here, right? We're going to make our bass guitar sit fundamental-wise right here around the 80, 100 hertz mark, and then the low end on our electric guitar is going to sit right here around 200. We're dipping that out a little bit. We're boosting some 700 here on our bass guitar, and then on our electric guitars, they're going to sit right here around 1.5K or 2K. So we're boosting a little bit under where our guitars are sitting. It's going to help everything sit together and fit together really, really well here. Next boost we're doing here, we're doing a whopping 10 dB at 4K. This is going to bring up all that top end and finger noise on the bass guitar, and it's going to help it cut through in the mix. This is the stuff you're going to hear on the top end, which is going to help you discern the different notes that he's playing on bass guitar. We'll start without it, and then I will kick it in here. So take a listen. It's quite a boost up on the top end there, but it's kind of like taking a pillow off of the recording, right? It feels like our bass is a little bit dulled, and then we kick this 10 dB boost in at 4K, and suddenly things wake up a little bit. We can hear some of that string noise, some of the fret noise. Again, it's going to help you discern the different notes here inside the mix. The last boost we're doing here is after our compression. So we've taken care of what we don't want, right? Gotten rid of some of that nosiness there, some of that buildup, controlled our low end. Now, after our compressor, after everything's nice and even, now we bring up the low end. And you can see here on our slope, we reach down past where our high pass filter was sitting. So we're bringing up all of the low end together now, but it's all balanced and it's all very even, very controlled. So we'll start without this boost in, and then I'm going to kick it in. Listen to how our bass rounds out. And you see the full picture of how our bass sound is, okay? We got those top end boosts in now. We're going to balance that with our boost here in the low end. We're doing about 8.5 dB at 80 hertz. That's our fundamental on our bass guitar here. This is the secret to getting all of that nice warmth and that big low end on your bass guitar. You want to boost it after you control it. So on our first EQ here, we're controlling our low end, getting rid of some buildup, rolling off any excess low end to get it tight here. Then after our compression, we're pulling up that nice rounded low end. So it's controlled, it's even, and it's balanced. Let's throw the bass guitar back in the mix here, and I will nuke all of our plugins and then throw them back in, and you can hear how our bass guitar goes from raw to our finished mix here with our EQ in.
I've been waiting for the day to break, but I can't find it anymore. I've been struggling just to keep it at bay, but the longer I wait, the more I'll say. It's hard enough just to let it go, but to hold it back is something I can't crack. I can only keep it down.
Just 2 EQs, and we allow our bass to cut through the mix and be big and powerful and balanced in our low end. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you are ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.